Alright, so we got the hood figured out. We're almost done. I guess I'll wrap this up, how we're gonna, what the work that's left. Okay, so our latch works. However, I don't think this is automotive grade just yet. So when it's set, it doesn't take a lot of this to unlatch. So there's a spring in here, but it's not super strong. So what we're gonna do, we still gotta hook a cable up. We're gonna run the factory cable, I believe, to pop this. So I'm gonna weld a piece that comes on here, and I'm gonna put a secondary spring that really pulls this thing tight. That way, like, vibration doesn't cause it to trip and pop the hood accidentally. So we're definitely doing that. And like I said, we're gonna run the cable. We'll do that later. Anyway, now let's jump to the back of the car. So every body panel is basically ready to go except for the rear bumper. Now there's not much of it, but it does have to be supported. So there's a couple of bolts that hold this area, so that's okay. This is really floppy, but we'll figure that out in a little bit. But these are the first obvious problem. I have no way of attaching these. So we're gonna figure that out. I've been looking at it. I have a rivet gun, but I don't have aluminum rivets. But on this side, we can see these holes are torn. There's a piece of metal that goes here from the factory. In fact, I believe it's on this side. Yeah, it is. So this side, it's not in great shape, but at least it's still attached. Yeah, actually that one's broke. So I think we're gonna take the metal off. And I had an idea. I haven't tried this yet, but between here, this plastic is still in good shape. I think we're gonna try to build some aluminum that I can like drill a hole and bolt and pinch a piece of aluminum to this. And then that piece of aluminum will bolt to this piece of steel. And then it'll go up like this and there'll be like a bolt on the backside. I think we're gonna try something like that. I think it'll work. And then I don't have to bond anything to this. I can just like bolt to it. So we're gonna try that and see if it works out. Wish me luck. Alright guys, so it's the next morning. We got too tired and had to knock off last night. But check it out. Dun, dun, dun. So in the front here, we built this little bracket and it bolts to, you can see the little screw head tucked in there. Number 6 with a nut, and then this piece. And I made it out of this thin of aluminum because it's actually, you can bend it to adjust it so that like all the curves and all that stuff lines up, you know. So did that. We were gonna do the same thing here, but honestly I was looking, I found an easier way. So we zip tied that, and you can use this part was needed to go in, so the zip tie allowed me to like pull it up and pull it in at the same time. Worked great, or worked good enough, let's just say that. Did all the same stuff on the other side, so you can probably imagine. So this is good. It's good. Yeah, look at this though. Not good. But we still gotta do something with that. And that's what we're about to work on. So the last probably the last 2, maybe 3 times I went to a Home Depot, I started buying aluminum. Maybe a little bit of steel, but mostly aluminum. So I've got like an assortment of this stuff now. Angle, flat, even got some C-channel here. So we have a bunch of material, and some of this is 8-foot stock. So we actually got quite a bit of this. Even got a couple of these little scrawny little pieces, because sometimes that's all you need, just a little baby bracket. So anyway, with all this material, we're hoping we can finish this. Now, this middle section, I can't really put a bolt through this without the bolt head showing, or at least I don't know how to do that without it showing. So what I'm thinking is maybe bond a piece of metal to this. This little part here, I'm thinking just, that's the old where the trunk thing went, the key I guess. So maybe grind that part off to where this is flush. And we've got some room here, maybe an inch or so, and I'm thinking just bond a piece of metal. You have to like, you know, get some epoxy and glue it and clamp it and let it dry. It's kind of slow and annoying. But if I do that, this whole piece here won't do this. At least that center section won't. It'll be stiffened by a piece of metal. So I think we're gonna do that. Not sure about the rest of it. One idea I had, so this piece is metal, where this is where the car stops, our taillight bolts up. So this part here is rolled. If I were to roll this part flat, which I could definitely do that, I could build a piece that actually goes from this nut and reaches all the way across to the other side. And that's definitely an idea, is put like a piece of flat bar or maybe even like angle iron and just run it across the back here. Because if I did that, it would stiff it, it would basically tie those two together, which that's not going to do much, but it would give me a piece of material that I can then connect whatever I put here and connect it to that. I don't know if that's necessary, but maybe. So we got some ideas floating around. Anyway, we're about to get started, see what we come up with. Alright, so we started working on the rear bumper again. And let me show you what we done. We're about to knock off for the night. But what we did, we cut ourselves these pieces of metal. And we've got JB Weld Original bonding. Let's see if this works, but we're bonding it to the bumper all the way across. So these metal pieces are not actually attached to anything, not yet. But if I grab this and push, like you'd expect, that whole thing just kind of moves as an assembly now that it's got this metal clamp to it. And of course the goal is when the JB dries, we can take the clamps off and now we'll have a metal structure we can grab on. So right here, we've got steel on the body and we've got this aluminum right there. So these are really close. We should be able to build some simple brackets to tie those together on both ends, and that'll get this center section supported. Hopefully the JB works. I feel like this is going to work. JB does stick to some plastics, but the thing is, I've got so many square inches of area, I just doubt that it's not going to work. And we did sand all this. You can see some of the sanding marks. We just kind of roughed it up before we put this in. So I think we're going to be good. Anyway, we wanted to do this before we knocked off so that it can cure overnight. JB is a 6-hour set, 24-hour cure, but it's going to be like at least 12 hours before we're back here. So in 12 hours, if it's not stuck really good, then it's probably not going to stick good enough to work. So we should be able to resume work in the morning. I will mention we haven't drilled our holes yet, but I can reach in here like this one easy. And even that one with a right angle drill should be pretty easy to pop a few holes and do brackets. So I didn't even bother. Plus it's thin aluminum, it's easy to drill. So, win or fail, we don't know yet. I think this is going to work. But if it does work, it keeps all this looking normal. No screws, no bolts, none of that. So, hopefully this works out. Anyway, that is definitely wrapping up the day. I am tired. It's like 10 o'clock at night. It's time to go home. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and until next time, y'all take it easy. Alright guys, so it's the next day. Yesterday we JB welded these aluminum parts in. Let me show you how that turned out. Here they are. Got the clamps off. So it hasn't fully cured, but it's plenty good enough. And it did what you would expect. Man, sorry the lighting sucks. Let me fix that. Okay, I got my headlamp on. Hopefully this kind of works. So, look at this. I can move it, but it moves as an assembly now. So that's a huge improvement. I spilled a little bit of glue and it tied that corner. That's actually desirable. I'm probably going to go back and like put a puddle of JB here at some point because it ties this in. Like over here, this still flops. But huge improvement. This top section just kind of moves as a piece. So our goal now is we're going to build little jumper brackets that go from like here to here and from here to here probably. And that'll just tie that whole panel back into the steel of the car. And we'll have a metal frame that goes all the way around that you can now unbolt to remove from the vehicle. So this is a huge success. This little skimpy rear bumper was, I knew when I cut it, I was like, man, it's going to be hard to restore and make that, rigid. And I was right, but we're starting to figure it out. This was the key, was getting this metal bonded to it. So anyway, we're going to keep going on that, but thought I'd show you guys. I've never seen this done, at least on Miatas, but it worked. So we're going to keep going. Check it out. So we built our brackets like we talked about, fairly short. Got some number 6 bolts with nuts. No rivet nuts this time, so I don't know, didn't even think about it, but it's bolted in. I guess if you want to remove this piece, you got to take off. These are probably the easiest ones to get to. Yeah, you could put rivet nuts. Anyway, I don't care. I'm not going to be taking this piece off very often because there's nothing back here. So boom, check it out. There's our panel, and now, if you guys remember before, let's see. Yeah, the whole thing moves as an assembly. It's way better. Yeah, I'm moving the whole car now, look. Alright, well, that's fixed. You'll see this looks bad, but it's not really the deck lid. It's a little bit the deck lid. Oh, that sounded good. Some of this is just the trunk is low. So if you lift the trunk up to where it looks good there, then it looks good here. So we'll deal with that later. I think I just need like a little thing I can run up and down to push on it. Kind of like what the hood has from the factory to set the height. Worry about that later. But boom, rear bumper. How about that? Bodywork is almost done, or as done as it's going to be. We still got to do a little work on our hood latch. I think we're going to go look at that real quick, because that catch, I don't remember if I filmed this part, my thought on this, I don't remember, but this isn't really automotive grade, so we're going to add an extra spring that goes here and comes back so that it doesn't pop when it's not supposed to. It'll have double springs. A lot of throttle bodies, actually pretty much all throttle bodies, have dual springs as well, just in case one fails. You got to back up and gives you extra stiffness. So we're going to put a second spring on this as well. It might have 2 springs. It kind of looks like it does have 2 springs, but whatever. We're putting another one on extra.